Hi guys, welcome back. In this video, we are going to discuss about creating a tab bar programmatically and make it a manageable one, uh, easy and a configurable one. Let's see how it works. So I have this tab bar. You can see I have configured it to have three tabs in the beginning, and I have configured the colors and stuff. Now let's see how this works. So let's say if I want to dynamically add a tab, I can just do this. Then you can see the fourth item is now added. If I want to remove, click this, I can remove it. Then if I want to show a badge, so you click that, so you can show badge on a particular tab bar item. And if you want to switch between or automatically select tabs, you can do that really easily. Now I switch to a different tab, so I select three, so I selected the third one. So all these things can be controlled and well managed using a single tab bar controller and a tab bar manager. So instead of having a tab bar controller reference on all your view controllers, you can create a wrapper on the base tab bar controller and then make it work really easy using a shared instance. So let's discuss how this thing works. Okay, step one is creating a subclass of a UI tab bar controller. So I call it as the main tab bar controller, and we need the tab bar items. So here we use the power of enums in Swift. So that's what I'm going to use here. Usually tab bars are we don't usually create tab bars from a JSON request or something. If it was a side drawer menu, we usually populate like that, but tab bar usually it's fixed. So let's say we know the number of tabs that we are going to have, so we can define that those things as an enumeration. So here I created a tab bar controller item, and let's say the pages are like 1 2 3 and 4, and I have a variable UI tab bar item, so which creates the tab for my each tab item for each tab. So let's say for example, for tab 1 we create the UI tab bar item with the title, then the selected and the default image. So I use the SF symbols here to do that. So this case we can really manage, so we don't need to really check for okay the index it's used like you have one-to-one mapping. I just need to say like okay, bring me the tab bar item for the controller item 1, then you know it's 1. So that way it's really helpful. So first step is I created this one, and if you want some additional variable or something, you can create it into this enum item. Okay, that is the first thing. So now we have created our four tab bar items with the images and stuff. Then in my main tab bar controller, I have a list of the tab bar controller items, then a variable which stores like which index to be selected. And in the view did load, I just set up the tab bar, which is basically the configuration, like setting the colors and stuff. This also you can manage. Right now I just kept it fixed, so I just set the font size and the appearance set up here. Then in the view did appear, I just set the index to select. Why I did it in view did appear, because if I do it in view did load, it doesn't work. So we have to either do it in view did appear or will appear. And so I just take it as the index to select and then just assign it, so that when the tab bar loads, if you have a preference which tab to load, it works. Then I have a custom initializer for the tab bar controller, which takes a list of tab bar controller items and an optional selected item. So we can pass in, like for example, if I want to start with items 1 2 and 3, just pass in those enums. And how it happens is like we loop through each item and we create the view controller for those items. So here I have a switch case which will tell like for each enum which is our view controller. And usually we have internal navigation, so I create the view controller and then assign it to a navigation controller's root. And here you can see, right, I set the tab bar item for the view controller just from the enum. So I don't need to, I just need to do like item.tab bar item, and in this switch case will make sure that I will get the correct item with respect to the tab bar controller item which I have passed in. Say for example, if I tell okay, get me the tab bar item for 1, then it will, I'm sure that I will get only this, not any of the other one. So this way it's really helpful. And if I add another like case 5, the same thing applies. You just need to assign the tab bar item from the enum. So in the init, so we loop through each tab bar controller items and create the respective view controllers, and then assign it to the tab bar controller's view controller property. And if we have an index like index value passed in, then we just set that index also here. And here also, when you pass in the selected item, you don't really need to pass the index. That's the beauty of enums. So you just need to tell okay, I want item 2 to be selected. Then I have a convenience function here which goes and checks okay, like when this tab bar item comes in, what index is it right now in the tab bar controller items. So that way I get the index, and only thing I need to do is to set it to the selected index when the tab bar loads. Then I have few other functions, like one is adding an item. So here also I just need to specify okay, add this to a particular index. So here you need to pass the index because you need to know like where it needs to be added. So first thing we check is like if this already exists. If it already exists, then we do not add it. Then we check like if the index is bigger, then we just set it to add it to the last count or the last index. And then what we do is we get the tab bar controller, and then we get the view controller for that particular item which needs to be inserted, and then we insert it to the view controller's property of the tab bar controller, and also update the tab bar controller items, and then set it back to the view controllers. So that way we can add the items easily. And similarly remove. So here also when you remove, you just specify the tab bar controller enum item to be removed. So you just tell like remove item 2. Then we first check whether it exists. If exists, then we get the view controller's data, remove it, and also remove it from the from our local tab bar controller items property list, and set the view controllers back into the tab bar controllers property. Then another function is to select. So if you want to select an index, you just pass in which enum or which item to be selected. Then you just we just set the selected index to that index. Then another function is to configure the badge. So if we tell here, we need to pass in the enum as well as the string what needs to be displayed on the badge, and we just check if the item exists as well as the badge value exists. Then we just get the tab bar item from the particular index, and then just assign the value. And this we already saw. And yeah, this is the function for fetching or creating the view controller. So this is pretty much it. So you have few convenience function to add, remove, select, and configure badges. So you can dynamically manipulate things using this convenience function. But is it enough? So basically what happens is you create a tab bar controller in app delegate or scene delegate, and if you want to use the tab bar controller in other places, you usually do self.tab bar controller, but it can in long run it can be like painful to add all the code to all those places. So to fix that, I thought of writing a wrapper on top of the tab bar controller, which I call it as the tab manager. So the tab manager is a singleton instance which is specifically there to manage the tab bar controller. So in tab manager also we have a small enumeration which tells the tab order. So basically you can have a normal, or I created two orders here like base and jumble. So base means it will be like 1 2 3, and jumble means 3 1 2. So let's say if you want to change the tab order in runtime, so this will help. So what main tab manager has is it has the current tab bar controller instance as its property, and then few functions. So first one is loading a tab bar with the specific order, so I just kept the default as base. Then select a tab item if it is there, then we create the instance of main tab bar controller with the order and the selected item, and then we get the key window and set the tab bar controller as root. So here in the key window we have done some changes here, like for iOS 13 we just need to loop through the windows and get the key window. So it may not be that useful if you are using multiple windows, this, so just be careful with that. I just consider this for a single window application, and if you are lesser than iOS 13 you get it from the key window. And beyond that, so you can, if your app delegate is pretty old, you can uncomment this function and use it. So get the window from the app delegate. So once we have the tab bar controller created, we just assign to the root view controller, and then we have few functions which is just like a proxy to our tab bar controller. It's the same function signature like configuring the badge, so we just pass it to our tab bar controller, then select, remove, add. So this will act as a wrapper to our tab bar controller, so that it will be easy to use in our views than exposing our tab bar controller to every place. So let's say how it is used. So here I haven't used any storyboard. So if you want to see like how to create a project without storyboard, look at my other video. I will post the link to that, so how to do that. So let's see how it works. So when you are in the scene delegate, so what we just do is like we create a window and we call the main tab manager shared and load tab bar with the base order, and okay, you can say like select a tab item if you want. Let me select it as, and it has 1. So that's it. So this will load the tab bar and select the item 1. And now let's go and see in our first view controller. Here I have created a few buttons to showcase like how things works. So let's say when you, like there was a function to add one item, so this is how it is, just one line. You just tell what enum to add and at what index. Then remove, you just tell okay, remove for, done. Then showing badge, so this is just one line, just tell configure badge for which item and what is the value. And then select 1, select 2 or whatever, just call this tab bar manager instance and then just pass on the required stuff. So by this way it's really easy to manage the tab bar across different view controllers, and it is foolproof as we check all the indexes, like whether the index exists, then only we manipulate, whether the item exists, then only we manipulate the tab bar. And on top of that, if you manage your view controllers in a good way, that no retain cycles and all these things exist, then like if you want to replace the tab bar to the root view controller and all, there won't be any memory issues also. So it's pretty convenient. So I found it really convenient to use it this way. Like many of times we have situations where we just replace the root because of X and Y reasons. So this will help. So you just need only one line to do that. Just like if you want to load a new instance of Tabbar controller into the root, just call this wherever you want, then it will just load it to the root. Yeah, that's all I want to say. Let's see it in action one more time. So this is the normal order, so you can see 1 2 3, then I show the fourth and remove the fourth, and at any point of time you don't have multiple instances of your controller in the memory. So if you try to run the memory graph, show badge, select 2, it selected the second item, then select 3, third item, and let's add the fourth, then let's go and see. Okay, I can remove myself. Done. So yeah, so that's all. Thanks for watching. I will post the link to the code in the description. Yeah, bye bye.